Hi, everybody. Let me tell you a new story today. Today's story is not scary, it is a pretty warm story. Today's story comes from Polo. Of course, this is an online name. He's from Wenzhou, Zhejiang province. This story took place when he was in an elementary school around year 2000. When Polo was in the fifth grade of elementary school, a female classmate's father passed away due to a heart attack. At that time, he was young and it was the father of a classmate, so naturally, he did not feel much sadness or sorrow. However, he still remembers to this day that his head teacher asked the students to fold small white paper flowers and then give them to the girl to express their condolences. Polo still has some memory about this event. The female classmate's family is an ordinary family. When her father was alive, their family ran a breakfast shop. There is a very famous breakfast in Wenzhou called tree fan. You steam a bowl of rice and then add a dish of stir-fried minced meat with mushrooms and soup. Sprinkle some chopped green onions on top, and then cut just fried dough sticks into sections to eat with the rice. It tastes very delicious. The girl's family ran such a breakfast shop locally in Wenzhou. The couple worked hard together to manage it. Because the breakfast made at this shop was delicious, many people, including teachers, classmates, and parents from the same school, loved to go to this shop for breakfast. Suddenly, the male owner passed away, and the shop suspended its business operations and was closed for half a year. The neighbor and the regular customers were very sad, but there was nothing that could be done. They had to go to other shops to eat. However, Polo noticed one thing. The usually cheerful and happy little girl became very introverted during that period, and she did not like talking anymore. She looked particularly melancholic. Experiencing such misfortune at such a young age is understandable. One day, Polo noticed that the breakfast shop had reopened, with many people lining up outside the door. Polo went to the shop and saw that it was just the girl's mother who was busy, but she couldn't manage everything by herself. Polo still went in for breakfast, and it was still very delicious. The neighbors were all sighing that after the husband passing, raising a child alone and still running the breakfast shop. Life for her is not easy. Many people were aware of her family's situation, so no one was rushing her, and it was okay to be slower. Polo's classmate was also very sensible. After school and finishing her homework, she would help her mother with whatever she could do. But after all, she was too young to do any heavy work. Later on, the female owner hired a young man to help out. With a man in the shop, the preparation of breakfast and other tasks became much faster. Polo went to have breakfast and met this uncle later. Feeling that he was a very good person with a very good temper, very honest, and quick at work, the business recovered and many people lined up to eat at her breakfast shop again. However, strange things still happened. Those three workers took turns getting sick, not all at the same time. It was the daughter, the mother, who was the shop owner, and the new worker. Three of them took turn falling ill. And it wasn't a serious illness. It was just a fever, dizziness, or nausea. Made the three look quite unwell. For those who ran restaurants, various illnesses are a concern. First, when you are sick, you need to rest, and the restaurant becomes overwhelmed, which delays business. Second, when you are sick, customers feel uneasy and fear that the food might be unclean. This is a very negative psychological hint. What is even more puzzling is that although the three people took turns getting sick, the business was exceptionally good. More and more people came, and everyone thought that their food was delicious, clean, and affordable. Paula was aware of this situation. He noticed that her female classmate looked very pale and often took sick leave from school. As time went on, some people mentioned to the shop owner that perhaps the child's father in the other world was unhappy or running out of money. So the shop owner went to burn some paper money, and while burning it, she said, "I hope you are well on the other side, and bless our daughter and me as well." However, doing this did not help. The three people still took turns falling ill. In the end, the shop owner had no choice but to seek help from relatives and friends to find some special individuals to see what was really going on. She talked to Polo's grandma, who knew someone quite famous in Wenzhou and had helped many people with similar issues. The grandma was involved in the matter from start to finish, which is also why Polo knew the whole story. The shop owner bought some fruit and gifts to grandma, saying, "I don't know the master myself. Could you help me ask him to come and take a look?" Polo's grandma, being very kind, agreed. The shop owner continued, "These past few days, I've been having dreams where there is someone sitting in my living room. I cannot figure out who it is, but it might be my hubby. He's just sitting there, not speaking, and I cannot tell if he's happy or angry. We keep getting sick. Could it have something to do with this?" Grandma said, "Your complexion is very poor. I will help you contact this master." Later, when the master was available at the appointed time, the grandmother took her to the master's house. The master looked at the shop owner's complexion and said, "You are entangled by negative energy. What has happened recently?" The shop owner said, "Recently, I've not been well physically, always getting sick, and I've been having dreams where I see my husband sitting in a living room." The master said, "First, I'll give you some talisman papers. Paste them inside the living room. If there are any further issues, contact me again." The next day, the shop owner called the master and said, "Master, I slept well last night, but I had the dream again. Before, he was sitting on a sofa, and I couldn't see clearly. Now he is standing at the door of my bedroom, seeming to be afraid of something, looking at me with a tilted head, even scarier than before." The master said, "Don't be afraid. Your home is just being disturbed by a negative presence. I will go to your house and take a look. It should not be serious, so don't worry." So Polo's grandma and the master went to the shop owner's house. Polo's grandma later said, "The items this master brought were very peculiar. It was a vegetable basket, a bamboo woven one. It's the kind country women use to sell or buy vegetables. I don't know what was inside, but it was covered with a black cloth." The master entered the house without saying a word, carrying this basket and walking around the shop owner's rooms. There were many flowers and plants, but they also seemed listless. The master said, "Your home has heavy negative energy. It's not just the people who are affected, but the plants in your home are affected too. The master continued. After taking a look around, except heavy yin energy, there is no issue with your apartment. There are only you two, mother and daughter, live here, with not enough yang energy. But this is not a big problem. I'm not quite clear about the specific reason right now. Let me ask. So, the next moment was truly magical. The master brought over the vegetable basket, opened it, took out an incense stick, lit it, and placed it on the table. He asked the shop owner, "Do you have any clothes that your husband wore when he was alive? Bring me one." The shop owner replied, "Yes, I'll go find it." She then brought a t-shirt, which the master placed it over the vegetable basket. After that, the master pulled out two moon-shaped small bamboo slices from his pocket. What were these things? In fact, this is a very ancient form of divination called divining blocks. In Chinese, they are called 智教. This method of divination is still practiced in Fujian, Guangzhou, and Taiwan. The two small bamboo slices, one side is flat, and the other side is convex, shaped like a crescent moon. When the two bamboo slices are thrown on the ground, they form three combinations that represent the will of the gods or the ghosts. The flat side represents yang, and the convex side represents yin. When they are thrown, one yin and one yang indicate yes, agree, and approve. Two yangs suggest neither deny nor approve. The situation is unclear. Two yins indicate no, object, and do not approve. The master had just lit the incense and covered the vegetable basket with the hobby's cloth, a t-shirt. Upon lighting, the incense produced smoke. However, in an enclosed room, instead of rising upward, the smoke from the incense seemed to be drawn towards the basket on the ground, as if the basket were a kitchen ventilator. Yet, there was no sound. A minute later, the smoke began to swirl about the basket. The master suddenly asked, "Where's the talisman paper I gave you yesterday? Hurry up and take them all down." The shop owner did it quickly, and looking at the smoke again, it was no longer swirling about the vegetable basket, but it was circling around the whole basket, one loop after another. At a much slower pace, the master began the divination process using the divining blocks. He said a question first, and then observed whether the answer indicated affirmation, negation, or uncertainty. The master's first question was, "Are you the husband of the shop owner?" Then he casted divining blocks, and the result was one yin and one yang, indicating yes. The master continued to ask, "Why haven't you moved on and remained at home? Is it because the shop owner hired a male worker and you are unhappy?" Then he casted divining blocks again and got two yins, indicating no. He cast the blocks once more, and the result was still no. Actually, this was a strange answer. Everyone had thought that the female owner was looking for a new husband, which made the previous husband unhappy. And that's why he was causing illness to the three people. However, the answer was not so. The master asked again. Is it because you want to accompany your wife and daughter that you're unwilling to leave? He cast the divining blocks, and the answer was yes. The master asked again, is it because you cannot let go of your worries for your wife and daughter? He cast the divining blocks, and the answer was yes. Upon seeing this, the shop owner burst into tears. Her dead husband was unwilling to leave them, his wife and daughter, and he wanted to take care of them continuously. The master asked again, are you aware that because of you, your wife and daughter are constantly falling ill? He cast the divining blocks, and the answer was no. The master asked again, the world of yin and yang are separate. You cannot act this way. The answer was yes. The master asked again, you need to leave soon and return to the world that belongs to you. The answer was yes. The master asked again, do you agree or disagree with your wife finding a new husband? The answer was yes. The shop owner was too sad and wept aloud. The master spoke many words to the basket, to the ghost of the hobby, in a low voice that Polo's grandma could not hear clearly. Later, the master said, your husband is concerned about you and your daughter. He loves this home, which is why he doesn't want to leave. However, as we all know, the yin and yang worlds are separate. The illnesses in a family are because of him, although he has no intention to harm any of you. His heavy yin energy is harmful to you and your daughter. Moreover, your yang energy is also not good for him. I will help him to move on. The master continued, remember to commemorate him on the tomb sweeping festival, the gold festival, the first day of October, and the winter solstice, these 4 days, as well as on his birthday and the anniversary of his death. The shop owner was crying the whole time, and Paul's grandma was comforting her all alone. Before leaving, the master gave the shop owner some pills, instructing her to dissolve them in warm water and then drink it, and that she would be able to restore her yang energy within a week. Later, after hearing this story from his grandma, Paulo paid special attention to his female classmate. I noticed that the little girl's complexion had improved a lot. Moreover, the little girl brought a lot of delicious food for Polo, saying it was from her mother. Afterwards, the shop owner also bought a lot of fruit and sent it to Polo's home to thank his grandma for her help. Later, the breakfast shop's business continued to be exceptionally good. The shop owner dismissed the previous young man and hired a woman in her 40s to help manage the breakfast shop together. Later, when Polo entered junior high school, He was no longer classmates with the little girl. After that, Polo moved and lost contact with her. He doesn't know how the mother and daughter are doing now. Polo's grandma witnessed the master using divination blocks to seek answers. The lingering attachment and the concern of the dead for his family. Although there are some inexplainable elements in this story, this is not a horror story. On the contrary, it is very heartwarming. Thanks to Polo for sharing the story. So everybody, do you know other ways to do divination? Please share what you think of this story and your stories. Thank you, everybody. This is Alex's story time, and I am Alex. See you next time.